Coming up on Good Morning Idaho.
It was rattling knowing that it could have been one of my close friends.
The Boise community grieving after a young girl was hit and killed by a pickup truck on Harrison Boulevard. The driver now in custody and the community uniting with small gestures to show love. Plus 3 years to the day that 4 University of Idaho students were brutally murdered in their Moscow apartment.
We've been moving on to a lot of different projects, just trying to stay positive. Chrissy started an organization in Kaylee's name.
Exclusive interviews this morning with family members of the victims checking in on how they've been coping with the unimaginable tragedy. And nationally, the longest government shutdown in U.S. history is now over. Democrats unable to get their key demand to extend health care subsidies and keep insurance premiums from skyrocketing for millions of Americans.
Would rather do that than provide health care that's affordable to working class Americans.
Meanwhile, over 20,000 newly released Epstein documents, some of which mention President Trump by name. The president's critics say the documents imply he both knew about and participated in Epstein's underage sex trafficking operation. Good Morning Idaho starts right now.
Connecting neighborhoods across the Treasure and Magic Valleys, telling stories from within our communities. This is Good Morning Idaho.
Good morning, Idaho, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday. I'm senior reporter Roland Barris, and boy, do we have a lot to get to this morning, both nationally and from our large team of neighborhood reporters bringing you more local content than anyone else in this market. And we'll get to all that in just a moment. But first, let's get the very latest on our weather with our Sophia Cruz getting ready to head out the door this morning. It's a little bit chilly, but not bad out there. It's going to be a great day.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good day, just warmer than normal. And taking a look at Bogus Basin this morning, no snow just yet. We will be tracking some snow through the end of this week and leading us into the next work week. But right now, it's a pretty quiet start for us. So you will notice a few showers over into eastern Oregon from Burns up to Baker City, but pretty quiet as you head into the Treasure Valley. It looks like a few of those showers are now heading up towards McCall and Cascade. So for the kiddos heading into the bus stop, it is a nice cool start to the day, but you still want to grab the light jacket as you head out. You've got mid-40s this afternoon. We're touching in those upper 60s, getting pretty close to the 70s. So it almost is going to feel like spring with just a nice breeze this afternoon, Roland.
Wow, sure is. That's unusual this time of year. Thanks, Sophia. Appreciate it. We start this morning remembering the victims of the Moscow murders. Kaylee Consalvis, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, and Xana Kernodle, whose lives were taken 3 years ago to this day. Our Don Nelson spoke with Kaylee's father to see how the family is holding up, as well as a former U.S. attorney who would have been on the prosecution team.
It's been almost 4 months since the murder case of Brian Koberger came to an end with a plea deal, a deal that put Koberger in prison for life with no chance of appeals or parole. Steve Gonzalez, the father of Kaylee, one of the 4 students murdered in their off-campus house in Moscow, has been very vocal during the investigation. I spoke with Steve to see how he and his family are doing during the difficult month of November, the same month the murders happened. Steve, how are you doing? How are you and your family doing?
We've been moving on to a lot of different projects, just trying to stay positive and keep what momentum that we have. You know, we're not dealing with the courts anymore, so we just moved on to the organization. Chrissy started an organization in Kaylee's name.
An organization, Steve says, helps other families if they ever find themselves in a dark place, helping them with things they might not know, things they themselves learned during this very difficult time surrounding their daughter's death. November is an extremely tough time for the family as the murders took place just weeks before Thanksgiving. Steve says Kaylee loved Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving was one of Kaylee's favorites. She loved to have the over-the-top options of ridiculous amount of food, and everyone was forced to sit down and go through that whole thing while football was playing in the background, and the girls were like playing board games and stuff like that. So we'll still do it in honor of her and knowing that that's what she would want us to do.
While he's mostly stayed out of the spotlight since his last day in court, the story is still the focus of public attention, including the announcement of a Lifetime movie about the Idaho murders. Gonzalez is not happy about it, but says he's at least grateful some members of the film crew have kept them informed as to what the movie would look like.
So we heard about it quite early on. And then those same individuals reach out with some photos and tell us, this is the kind of stuff I don't want to be a part of. It's pretty upsetting to see somebody labeled as your daughter, and they're dressed up as if This is something that is entertaining. It's not entertaining for us. You have something like that happen, and then you talk to legal counsel and say, what options do we have? And there's really not much you can do but just take it. So I guess maybe just talking to you is one way that we can let people know that, hey, if you see this, they'll support it.
Steve told me he wanted to thank everyone in the Treasure Valley for supporting him and his family. It means a lot. Former U.S. Attorney for the District of Idaho, Josh Hurwitz, was asked to join the prosecution team in the murder case of Bryan Kohberger. Hurwitz sat down with us to talk about what if the case had gone to trial. The trial never happened. When the plea deal was struck that ended the case, a lot of questions remained. Josh Hurwitz said the prosecution was ready.
As a trial lawyer, right, and as we talked about, I was ready to go. I signed up on the case for one reason, which was to try the case and seek justice.
But a plea deal was struck. Now the question of motive would never truly be known. Hurwitz put it this way.
This crime, like many others, does not have a rational explanation to begin with. It was an inhuman thing that this person did to 4 beautiful people and affected others as well. So trying to understand that, I think, is kind of a futile exercise, because no one that could give us some explanation that would provide any comfort would do these things in the first place.
Right.
So that's why I say I don't think that having the trial, whether he would have testified or not, would have given folks the answers they're looking for.
Their witness list that was never called. Was Bryan Kohberger's sister on that list?
I think she was on the list, yes. At the same time, the list doesn't mean that we're going to call every single witness on the list. Every witness that we were going to call and that a lawyer calls during a trial is to establish certain facts. And then there's other facts that the other side might elicit from that witness, so you have to balance it out.
As far as a television movie that's in production about the murders, Hurwitz simply said, not interested.
The Boise North End community is grieving after a young girl died after being hit by a truck Tuesday night. I'm neighborhood reporter Ellie Tripke here on Harrison Boulevard with more from neighbors about the change they want to see.
It was rattling knowing that it could have been one of my close friends.
The North End's most well-known street, Harrison Boulevard, is usually filled with families and children, especially each fall during Halloween. Now, candles, flowers, and teddy bears line the corner of Harrison and Ada Street, honoring a Washington elementary school student who died after being hit by a car there Tuesday afternoon.
Well, I think it's having a huge impact.
It's everybody's tragedy. It impacts us all. It's a wake-up call.
We were really devastated, and so we just decided to come by.
By Wednesday, this corner had turned into a gathering place where dozens of parents, kids, and neighbors came together, bringing their favorite toys, chalk art, and handwritten messages, small gestures to show love and to remember a child gone too soon. While police don't list speed as a factor in this incident, local students say they've had close calls when biking or walking to school.
People just need to slow way down because it just gets to a point where it's unsafe, and just stay below the speed limit and stay safe.
I spoke with dozens of North End neighbors who say they are heartbroken and now they want to see change on the roads.
Speed bumps and just like lights at the crosswalks. And it would be expensive, but it would be worth it.
I would like to see the speed limit come down to 10.
Slow down, look out for each other, be kind. You can't be in a hurry. And I'm sorry that it's taken this to open up a public conversation about traffic in this area.
Police say the accident happened just after 4:40 Tuesday when the driver of a pickup truck stopped at the sign on Ada and turned north onto Harrison, colliding with the child as she crossed the street. She was taken to a local hospital and later died. Officers have identified the driver as Elvin Ramos Caballero, who is now in ICE custody because of a federal warrant. The investigation remains ongoing and police say no additional charges have been filed at this time. Allie Tripke, Idaho News 6.
This morning, the longest government shutdown in U.S. history is finally over after nearly 6 weeks. The president signing the short-term spending bill late last night to reopen the government. A majority of Democrats voting against the bill, raising the alarm that the bill does not include Democrats' key demand to extend Obamacare subsidies and keep insurance premiums from skyrocketing for millions.
Donald Trump and Republicans made the decision to shut the government down, the longest shutdown in American history. Would rather do that then provide health care that's affordable to working class Americans.
A new AP NORC poll shows 65% of Americans disapprove of the president's handling of health care, while 62% of people disapprove of the way Trump is handling his job as president overall. As the government reopens, experts warn it will take time to return to normal, including funding for SNAP, the federal food assistance program that feeds some 42 million Americans. And the U.S. Transportation Secretary says it will take days before air traffic will return to normal at the nation's airports. Hundreds of thousands of federal workers will also get their back pay. President Trump issuing a pardon for an Idaho trail runner who set a record for the fastest time up and down the tallest peak in the Tetons. Last year, 33-year-old Michelino Sonseri raced up and down the more than 13,000-foot Grand Teton in less than 3 hours. But on the way down, he cut a switchback to avoid some hikers. The move disqualified his record and landed him a misdemeanor. Prosecutors had agreed to dismiss the charge in exchange for community service, but now that won't be necessary. After the break, shocking new evidence in the Epstein case, with President Trump mentioned numerous times in thousands of newly released documents. Details coming up. It is 6:13. Welcome back, everybody. Let's take a quick look at your national headlines today. President Donald Trump has signed a government funding bill that ends a record 43-day shutdown. The disruption caused financial stress for federal workers who went without paychecks and also stranded a lot of travelers at airports. The House passed the measure on a mostly party line vote. Democrats wanted to extend health care subsidies to prevent insurance premiums skyrocketing for millions of Americans, but all they were able to get from Republicans was a promise of a future vote. The Federal Aviation Administration, meanwhile, is expected to continue limiting airline travel today as air traffic control towers cope with staff shortages. Even with the government shutdown ending, air traffic controllers haven't been paid since last month, forcing many to find other ways to make ends meet. On Tuesday, the FAA shrank flight capacity by 6%, and it was scheduled to ramp up to 10% in reductions on Friday. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy has previously indicated the agency will lift the order only when safety data tells him it's appropriate. In a positive sign, cancellations and delays went down Wednesday. President Trump has threatened to dock the pay of employees who didn't return to work or stay on the job. And the penny is going the way of the dodo, folks. It's been a long time coming, but the U.S. Mint has officially ended production. The last pennies were struck yesterday morning at the Philadelphia Mint, where they've been made since 1793. But that doesn't mean you're going to stop seeing them. Of course, pennies are still legal tender, and about 300 billion of them remain in circulation. Now to the case of sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and the new emails released. The White House insisting that there is no evidence in them that President Trump knew about Epstein's crimes. But his name appears numerous times with emails the president's critics say imply that he knew about and participated in Epstein's underage sex trafficking operations. ABC's Victor Oquendo takes a closer look.
Details emerging from the more than 20,000 newly released documents related to Jeffrey Epstein, some mentioning President Trump. In email exchanges with a New York Times reporter in 2015, Epstein suggesting reporters ask my houseman about Donald almost walking through the door, leaving his nose print on the glass as young women were swimming in the pool, and he was so focused, he walked straight into the door. And there was this exchange in 2018 with someone whose name has been redacted. That person writing, "They're really just trying to take down Trump and doing whatever they can to do that." Epstein replying, "It's wild because I am the one able to take him down."
Congratulations, you're now a member of 119th Congress.
Just moments after being sworn in yesterday, Arizona Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva became the 218th and final signature needed on a petition to force a vote on releasing all of the Epstein files.
Justice cannot wait another day.
Speaker Mike Johnson now saying the House will vote on the issue. Opponents worry about protecting the privacy of the victims.
We're going to put that on the floor for a full vote next week.
In an attempt to stop the petition, top White House and Justice Department officials attempted to pressure Congresswoman Lauren Boebert into removing her name from it, meeting with her in the Situation Room, but her name stayed on the petition.
The Department of Justice has not turned over anything of consequence. None of it relates to the types of evidence that would reveal the co-conspirators or others who were involved. That's why the discharge petition is so important.
Earlier in the day, House Democrats releasing emails obtained from the Epstein estate. Those emails include a 2011 exchange between Epstein and his co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell. Epstein writing the quote, "Dog that hasn't barked is Trump," adding one of his victims spent hours with Trump at Epstein's home, but that Trump has never once been mentioned. Maxwell replying, "I have been thinking about that." House Republicans and the White House identifying the victim as Virginia Giuffre, who once worked at Trump's spa at Mar-a-Lago. Giuffre said she never saw Trump do anything inappropriate. She died by suicide earlier this year. Trump and Epstein were friends for more than a decade. After Epstein's arrest in 2019, Trump said he hadn't spoken to him in 15 years. He insists he broke off the friendship when he learned Epstein and Maxwell were luring away female staffers who worked at Mar-a-Lago. In a 2019 email to author Michael Wolff, Epstein writing, Trump said he asked me to resign, never a member ever. Of course, he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop. Victor Okendo, ABC News, New York.
Okay, happy Thursday, Eagle. You're our neighborhood of the day, where this afternoon we'll be touching in those upper 60s. A bit warm as we head into the second week of November. I'll be showing you when we can expect cooler weather to return.
Sophia Cruz with the Idaho News 6 forecast.
I just want to go out and suntan today. Just hang out in the back on the lounge chair.
You know, it'll be a little bit breezy rolling, but honestly, you could. It's feeling like spring this afternoon. Take a look at afternoon highs as we get ready for our baby Friday. Weekend's right around the corner, and that's when we'll see those changes too. But you've got upper 60s along your valley floors, lower 70s into the mountains and into our Glens Ferry, and then you've got mid 50s into your mountains. So we are challenging a couple of daily records today. Ones that I want to point out to you, Boise and McCall. Boise sitting at about 69 this afternoon. Previous record was 69, set in 1939. Now, taking a look at McCall today, you get to 58, where the previous record was 61. So it is warmer than normal. A lot of those changes that we are going to see start today, and start with our winds. So not going to be the biggest change, but it will be pretty gusty this afternoon as wind gusts touch into the 20-mile-per-hour mark. So do prepare for a breezy Thursday. By Friday afternoon, pretty calm out there, but just a nice light breeze helping us keep cool. What's happening is we'll see this front move through, and you would think that will cool down our temperatures, but because we are getting this southwesterly flow, it kind of just keeps it more at a moderate rate. So we're kind of sitting with those lower 60s through our weekend because of those two systems working in tandem. Behind that, we will see some unsettled weather into our Friday around noon for our mountains and along eastern Idaho. As we move through the next couple days, though, Friday, Saturday, and really even into Sunday morning, it's nice and quiet. We don't get those changes until we head into about 2 o'clock when this next low moves upwards towards the north. Now, and that's towards our area. So as it does that, that brings in rain across eastern Idaho all the way down to our friends in the Magic Valley. Now, moving through the days behind that into next week, this is where things get unsettled. Notice that across our map you get not only snow but also rain, so this front approaches right behind that, and because of that we do look at an unsettled start to the week. Now, where do our temperatures sit after this? Well, we're just getting blasted next week with cooler weather, so we do see us go from the 60s on Saturday, 50s on Sunday, to 40s as we head into the middle of next week. And that does bring on the chance of some unsettled weather too, so if you are going to wash the car, just hold off on that for a bit. You get a dry Saturday, slight chances of showers Sunday, and then heading into next week, more rain by Monday and even Wednesday as temperatures cool to the mid 40s.
Belting Boise Bench celebrities, how these goats are bringing people together and helping neighbors unwind. When you walk around your neighborhood, you usually see people walking dogs, but in this neighborhood near Boise State, you see some neighbors walking goats. I'm your Boise Bench neighborhood reporter Sahana Patel, joining in on this goat walk to learn how it's bringing the community together. While most people prefer dogs and cats for pets, the Ching family decided to adopt goats.
We could use goats to help eat the weeds, be something kind of fun and different to have in the neighborhood.
Turns out they weren't the only ones who fell in love with these four-legged farm animals.
So we thought about making this as a community engagement.
That's how Chingo was born, a free neighborhood activity where anyone can walk, feed, and hang out with these neighborhood celebrities. The Ching say it's become a popular activity, especially among Boise State students in the neighborhood looking for a mental health break.
You can just forget everything and just really be present in that moment and just look at these cute little goats and relax.
If you want to join in on the fun and walk the goats yourself, you can use the link on this story on idahonews6.com. I'm your Boise Bench neighborhood reporter Sahana Patel for Idaho News 6.
Chubby little guys that could use the exercise. Welcome back, everyone. We've got a lot more to come at 6:26. Here's what's coming up in our last half hour from our neighborhood reporters.
My conversation with Ethan Chapin's mother, Stacy Chapin, on how her family is honoring him through the Ethan Smiles Foundation 3 years later.
In Caldwell, the emotional moment in court as a Caldwell father tells a judge he's guilty of killing his own daughter.
Now we'll look outside from the Treasure Valley Chevy Dealers Tower Cam.
Connecting neighborhoods across the Treasure and Magic Valleys, telling stories from within our communities. This is Good Morning Idaho.
Welcome back to Good Morning Idaho, everybody. It's 6:29 into our last half hour on a Thursday. I'm senior reporter Roland Barris. Great to have you along, everybody. And we've got a lot to get to from our large team of neighborhood reporters. Coming up in just a moment, we are going to check in with the family of Ethan Chapin, one of the 4 University of Idaho students murdered 3 years ago today, and how they've managed to create a silver lining of good in the aftermath of all that. Plus, despite the government shutdown being over, food insecurity is still impacting millions of Americans, and the Idaho Food Bank is preparing for increased demand as the timeline of SNAP benefits returning remains uncertain today. But before we get to all of those stories, let's check in on our weather with Sophia Cruz. Start things off. It's going to be a very nice day today. You could almost consider it a short stay.
Yeah, almost a short stay. Maybe even if you want to go take a walk around the Greenbelt, you won't even really need the jacket throughout the afternoon. Even this morning, though, you do want it still. It's the mid-40s, so a little bit higher for our morning lows. And then as we continue into this afternoon, we actually stop at about 68. It'll be partly cloudy throughout the day, and we'll slowly see winds increasing. On top of the warmer weather, we also will be looking at a chance of showers for today. Now, it's not the heaviest rain we've seen, and it's a slight chance for our Treasure Valley, but as you head over into Baker City and LeGrand, that's where a bulk of the moisture will sit over today. So right now, we're seeing a lot of those showers move from Burns over to Baker City into our west central mountains, whereas our Treasure Valley is pretty quiet right now. So this is just the start of what's going to be an unsettled weather pattern as we head into our weekend, Roland.
All right. Thanks, Sophia. Appreciate it. We turn once again this morning to the tragic Moscow murders, which occurred 3 years ago today. Our Riley Shoemaker checks in with Ethan Chapin's mom as she describes how their family continues to honor Ethan's legacy.
Neighborhood reporter Riley Shoemaker. It's been 3 years since 4 University of Idaho students, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, and Xana Kernodle, were killed in their off-campus home in Moscow. In the years since, each family has found ways to honor their loved ones. For Ethan's family, that's through Ethan Smiles Foundation, turning heartbreak into hope for future students.
He was an amazing kid. I mean, he's easy to talk about and, remember and bring his memory along with us.
For Stacy Chapin, honoring her son Ethan meant creating something lasting, something that reflects who he was. Within a year of the tragedy, the Chapins founded Ethan Smile, a nonprofit providing scholarships for students in their hometown of Skagit County, Washington.
I think we were driving in the car one day and Jim was like, we need to scholarship kids in Skagit County. I mean, the premise came from, it was important for us to provide an education to our kids if they wanted it, at least so that they could stand on their own 2 feet one day, is kind of what we always say. And it just became a real obvious thing to do, to turn around and do the same thing for other kids in Ethan's name.
The Chapin family says they plan to continue Ethan Smiles scholarships for years to come, helping students across Skagit Valley and beyond stand on their own 2 feet. For more information on how you can contribute, you can head to this story on idahonews6.com. I'm neighborhood reporter Riley Shoemaker, Idaho News 6.
At the Idaho Center, neighbors have the opportunity to pick up pantry staples thanks to the Idaho Food Bank. I'm your Nampa neighborhood reporter Keith Burrell at the food drive where 50,000 pounds of food is ready to be given out, learning from the Idaho Food Bank how the government shutdown has been impacting them.
The Idaho Food Bank says the ripple effect from the federal shutdown is creating uncertainty across Idaho, prompting them to plan ahead and prepare for an increase in need. This site typically serves about 35,000 pounds of pantry staples, but today that's up to 50,000 just in case more families show up while SNAP benefits remain on hold. The food bank says situations like this are why they're preparing for a surge in demand, even if they don't know how large it will be.
It does impact how far we plan when there's changes in SNAP benefits, delays in SNAP benefits, and then also when you have federal workers that could be going out of paycheck. What we've had to do is plan a little farther forward, spend additional funds on food. So we spent an additional $200,000 on food.
The Idaho Food Bank has been handing out this flyer at mobile pantries that provides information for resources beyond food. You can find a link to these resources in this story on our website, idahonews6.com. At the Idaho Center, I'm your Nampa neighborhood reporter Keith Burrell for Idaho News 6.
A Caldwell father charged with killing his daughter formally pleads guilty in a Canyon County courtroom. I'm your Canyon County neighborhood reporter Victoria Rodriguez, and I was in the courtroom as Delbert Cornish emotionally told the judge in his own words that he killed his daughter and her cat and threatened his son, who survived the whole ordeal.
I pulled the trigger. I shot my daughter.
You shot your daughter with a 9mm firearm.
Yeah.
Delbert Cornish now awaits his sentencing after pleading guilty for the first-degree murder of his daughter, Onyx. Cornish also admitted to killing Onyx's cat and trying to scare his son while still armed with a gun.
I attempted to do the same to my son.
I caught up with Onyx's mom, Crystal Thompson, who tells me it was difficult to sit through Wednesday's hearing where Cornish admitted to what he did.
That was hard. That answer was really, I don't know. It's like a truck hit me.
Idaho News 6 previously sat down for an exclusive interview with Lucian Cornish. Despite the trauma, his mother says he's finding ways to channel his emotions.
He's writing a song. He wrote a song, actually, and he's writing an album. And he's doing all these musical things to get out his emotion.
Cornish is expected back in court for his sentencing on January 28th. Thompson tells me her son Lucian will be present to provide a victim statement. Reporting in Caldwell, I'm your Canyon County neighborhood reporter Victoria Rodriguez for Idaho News 6.
A Nampa pastor accused of possessing and distributing child porn and creating illegal images of minors was back in front of a judge Wednesday morning. I'm our neighborhood reporter Leslie Solis at the Canyon County Courthouse, where we continue our coverage on the case against Pastor Matthew Masevich. The pastor who worked at Sovereign Grace Fellowship in Nampa entered a not guilty plea at Wednesday's arraignment in district court. As we previously reported, Masevich was arrested in September and charged with 13 felonies. 12 charges related to distribution and possession of child sexually exploitative material. Each count could carry up to 30 years in prison, steep financial penalties, and if convicted would require Masevich to register as a sex offender. As for the 13th charge, investigators say he used AI to make a sexually explicit photo appear to involve a child rather than an adult. That charge also carries a penalty up to 5 years in prison.
When you're facing multiple charges, there's the possibility that you'll be convicted of more than one charge. In that event, the court could enter a sentence that would be either consecutive or concurrent on those charges.
Masevich remains behind bars on a $2 million bond with a no-contact order for anyone under 18. Masevich is expected back in court January 20th, with trial set to start February 23rd. Reporting at the Canyon County Courthouse, I'm your neighborhood reporter Leslie Solis, Idaho News 6.
6:37, let's take a look at what's happening in your neighborhood today. Downtown Eagle is celebrating the completion of the Downtown Eagle Mobility Project with a ribbon cutting this afternoon. The project improves pedestrian and traffic flow, making the area safer and more accessible. Alongside the celebration, a Nest Quest scavenger hunt event is encouraging residents to return downtown and support local businesses impacted by construction. That's at 3 p.m. in front of the Orville Jackson House. Ahead of Thanksgiving and to help address food insecurity and high grocery bills, the Islamic Center of Boise will be distributing 180 turkeys to underserved populations. That's going to run from 10 to 7 today at the Islamic Center of Boise. And $3 Thursdays back at Zoo Boise. The winter promotion offering $3 admission for all guests every Thursday from November to February, as well as an 11-day window at the end of December during the holiday break. What better day than today to go check out the zoo, right? It's going to be beautiful weather. Hot dogs, fountain drinks, and popcorn, also $3 each. The zoo's open from 10 to 5 with last admission at 4 p.m.
In South Boise, get ready for thousands of new homes as the Muriel Farms project moves one step closer to reality. This empty lot south of Boise is now officially part of the city, and it's going to look a lot different in a few years. It's a massive project called Muriel Farms. I'm your South Boise neighborhood reporter Brady Caskey, walking you through what to expect. With 3,500 homes slated for this section of the city, basically creating a brand new slice of town at the end of Cole Road and South Maple Grove. It's hard to see the scale of this 380-acre property from the ground, but check out this view from above. Essentially, this big chunk of land is going to be Boise's next planned community, with parks and paths connecting new shops and neighborhoods. City Council decided to annex the land into city limits last month, but not without a few demands along the way. So in order to move on to later phases, project developers will have to incorporate a handful of affordable housing, a fire station, a school, along with millions of dollars set aside for ACHD and impact fees.
The development is paying for itself, not off taxpayers.
City Council member Kathy Corliss feels Muriel Farms is a good fit for this growing part of South Boise, especially with more than 100 affordable housing units baked into the proposal.
This is what we need. We need housing. We need all different types of housing.
With the council giving the green light, I wanted to hear from neighbors. And that's where I met Freddie Guajardo, who lives next door.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I don't have any problems with it.
He's lived here for 20 years and doesn't think the development will make much of a difference.
You know, I don't think that with the development up here of 30 some houses or 300 and some houses or 3,000 some houses, it's not going to make a difference.
He did tell me he wants to see some changes on South Maple Grove to slow drivers down and add sidewalks. But other than that, he's on board.
I think it'll improve this side of town. And us being in this area, it'll just increase the value of the properties up here.
Other neighbors told me off camera they're concerned by the scale of the project and the traffic that'll come with it.
You know, it is what it is. People have to live here.
Muriel Farms will be built in phases over the next 20 years. Now that phase 1 is approved, the developer is cleared to start the project. I'm your South Boise neighborhood reporter Brady Caskey for Idaho News 6.
The Idaho News 6 Ski Report, sponsored by Larry H. Miller Subaru.
Okay, first ski report of the season, and it doesn't look too great right now, but we've got some projected opening dates. You've got November 22nd for Bogus Basin, projected opening for Tamarack November 28th. Brundage Mountain also opening around the 28th, it looks like, and then Sun Valley Resort says they're going to open around the 27th. So we have a little snow in the forecast as we head into the weekend and leading into next week. Hopefully that helps some of these numbers, but if not, we'll keep you up to date as we continue through our ski season together.
Love Your Neighborhood, brought to you by ICCU.
This week's Love Your Neighborhood, we're at Shoes Idaho Running Company. Whether you're hitting PRs or you're just getting started, this is the heart of the Boise running scene.
So walk around, see how that feels for you.
The store actually opened in 1997. I started doing things behind the scenes. I bought the store from Mike about 3.5 years ago. And as you can see, we have a wide variety. A good shoe, the perfect shoe, matters for everybody, because if your feet hurt, everything else is going to hurt.
You want enough toe splay, enough room for that big toe to step off, give you good control.
The staff I have is amazing. Everybody's a runner to some degree. We have, like David was on the U.S. team for track and field, and the guy that's won Roby the last 2 years, he works here. Paul does the 100-milers. They know what they're talking about.
There you go. Look at that. Nice job. And one more time with your right foot this time. It's a good stride, a little bit heavier on your left heel.
Everybody's welcome. It doesn't matter who you are, what you're doing. Medical referrals.
I feel it's really important what we do here. I get almost more satisfaction again from helping that person who maybe they have arthritis or they've had some knee surgery, and I've got to find that right shoe for them. So I've got the Ghost. This isn't a 13. Let's try this.
I think it's important to run one for your physical but mental health. I struggled with some postpartum and stuff after my kids, and running just really helped me get through that. Gave me some clarity.
I do feel running or a good exercise does help stave off those medical bills. And here in Idaho, there's so many great trails, or the Greenbelt, so many great places to run. I run for life now.
I know what running did for me, and it's changed my life. Get out there and move and enjoy what you're doing. And the more you enjoy it, the further you can go.
Good job. You're ready for your marathon.
And that's a wrap on this week's Love Your Neighborhood. Run on down to Shoes Idaho Running Company to find the perfect fit for you. Sophia Cruz, Idaho News 6.
Sophia Cruz with the Idaho News 6 forecast.
6:48. So one of those guys over there has run sub 4. A sub 4 mile.
3:57. I mean, he did compete professionally.
Oh, yeah.
But
they know their shoes, no question.
When he told me that, I asked him and I said, "Did you just know you were going to do that?" And he's like, "Well, based off my training, we kind of knew I was going to be in that ballpark." I think about all the things I can do in 3 minutes. It is not a mile. Let me tell you that. Maybe just waking up. Either way, I hope you're off to a good morning so far. Here's a look at our village in Meridian, where you can see those Christmas lights starting to go up across this area. A few clouds overhead. It will be a cloudier start to the day, but we'll slowly see them part as we head into the afternoon, and we'll get mixes of sunshine in there at times. Right now, if you're heading out there, mid-40s, so it feels pretty good. Across our map, right now, we all look good. You've got mid-40s along your valley floor. Some spots still hanging on to those 30s and 20s in Stanley and Ketchum. But by this afternoon, it'll actually start to feel a little bit more like springtime. And if you didn't know it was November, based on this map, you'd probably think it was spring. You've got upper 60s in your Treasure Valley, lower 70s into Glenns Ferry. Our mountains seeing mid 50s to lower 60s. Now we are expecting changes to come. The first being our winds. We'll see gusts up to 20 miles per hour today, so that will contribute to a cool and breezy afternoon ahead. So just a heads up, hair tie, cap weather, even some kite weather as you head into this afternoon. By Friday, lighter winds and storm. You slowly see that shift east as that front starts to exit. So just giving you a bigger picture of what's happening. We have a front slowly inching its way inland. As it does this, our winds will increase and we'll see the possibility for some showers later overnight. And then down to our south, we have that low that's just slowly going to inch its way upwards towards us through the weekend. Both of these working in tandem won't really necessarily do very much for our temperatures. Will remain pretty stagnant with those lower 60s. As you move into your Friday, if we do see some showers, this will be along eastern Idaho as you head to Idaho Falls and Twin Falls. By Saturday morning, it's a nice dry day, so anything you want to do outside Saturday should be good. Then that low moves and you start to see rain at the front and also behind it. Now, behind that low, we actually have another front that moves inland. So as it does this will bring on another chance of rain into our Monday. So when you take a look at next week, it is unsettled, yes, but we are also going to see some cooler weather. So just walking you through the next couple of hours, by 11 o'clock today, that's when we'll see those showers come through. And overnight, it'll continue into our mountains, and then waking up tomorrow morning, it's a little bit quieter for our Treasure Valley, and you see a lot of that rain kick off into the Magic Valley. So over the week, yes, it will be unsettled starting tomorrow as that rain moves in. Lower 60s into your Saturday, then the cooler weather comes in next week with those chances of rain Sunday, Monday, and even Wednesday. So do not wash the car. And speaking of cars, let's get you ready for your morning commute.
Now the Idaho News 6 traffic report.
All right, it is 6:51 and we are giving you a live look of downtown. All those cars heading out on this wonderful baby Friday. Tomorrow will be our real Friday, but here's a look at I-84 at Garrity. The eastbound lane already looks congested. Yes, no surprises there. So as you're heading out, just a heads up for those of you traveling from Caldwell into downtown, it is looking a little slower on the I-84 stretch. And then also as you head into Karcher Road and Middleton Road, Karcher Road specifically, that westbound lane if you're heading south on North Middleton Road, just another heads up, it's a little slower out there.
In this morning's GMA First Look, the deepening mystery of what happened to Melody Buzzard.
Ma'am, you're released on supervised release.
Ashley Buzzard, the mother of the 9-year-old who's been missing from her home near Santa Barbara for over a month, sent home from jail with a GPS monitor. But Ashley was not in court to face charges related to Melody's disappearance. She was there to face a charge of false imprisonment after a man she knew named Tyler Brewer accused her of holding him against his will in her home.
We're entering a not guilty plea.
Ashley Buzzard released after a judge ruled she was not a flight risk. And this morning, her attorney, Adrian Galvin, speaking out to GMA.
We're eager to test the reliability, veracity, and credibility of the complaining witness in this case, and we intend to do so.
And coming up at 7 a.m., we'll have the very latest on Melody's disappearance with your GMA First Look. I'm Matt Gutman, ABC News, Los Angeles.
All righty, it is 5 minutes before the hour. Welcome back to Good Morning Idaho. And we're starting to wrap things up on a Thursday morning. In case you missed it, here are the top stories that we're following from our neighborhood reporters.
In the North End, the community is in mourning after a young girl was hit and killed Tuesday night. Candles and flowers now line the corner of Harrison Boulevard and Ada Street as neighbors mourn a Washington Elementary School student and call for safer streets. Police say the driver, Elvin Ramos Caballero, stayed at the scene and was later taken into ICE custody on a federal warrant. Police don't believe speed was a factor, but students and neighbors say it's a reminder for everyone to slow down and stay alert on Boise streets.
In Caldwell, the emotional moments in court as a Caldwell father tells a judge he's guilty of killing his own daughter.
I pulled the trigger. I shot my daughter.
Delbert Cornish changed his plea to guilty, admitting he shot and killed his daughter, Onyx Cornish, back in August. He also confessed to killing his daughter's cat and threatening his son, who survived. Cornish will be sentenced in January, where his son plans to share a victim statement.
I'm senior reporter John Nelson outside the Ada County Courthouse. A very sad anniversary this week in Idaho. 4 students at the University of Idaho were found murdered in their apartment in Moscow. I sat down with Josh Hurwitz, who is the former U.S. attorney for the District of Idaho, who joined the prosecution team to talk about the plan they had laid out before they went to that plea deal.
And of course, you can learn more about all of these stories on our website. Just head to idahonews6.com.
Now, the Out the Door forecast, brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors.
Okay, it's Baby Friday and the warmest day of the week. Still feels nice for the morning, so grab a light jacket. By the afternoon, though, we'll be touching towards the 70s into 3 o'clock. We will see showers stir up as early as 5 o'clock throughout the evening, but I think it'll be a little bit closer to that 7 o'clock hour. So if you want to read more about that, you can head on over to idahonews6.com. Let's get you ready now for your morning commute.
Now, the Idaho News 6 traffic report.
Okay, we're giving you a live look of downtown where commuters are heading out. It's Baby Friday. Tomorrow will be a real Friday. Now, along I-84 eastbound, just between 16 to 8 minutes, depending on where you're traveling. I-84 eastbound is pretty slow this morning. No surprises there, but just a heads up for those of you heading out. Tindon Boulevard to US 20 right now, under 13 minutes. So it is a busier Thursday, but overall, today's Baby Friday. Tomorrow's real Friday.
Right. No, I know. Hey, the last penny was printed yesterday, apparently, and I'm glad for it. If there's one thing I can't stand is having a bunch of pennies in my pocket.
You know, I have a bunch of pennies that I've had since 3rd grade, and my mom told me never to spend it, so I really haven't to this day, so they're just all sitting. Many? It's worth $500.
$500 worth of pennies.
Yeah.
That's where all the pennies have gone, folks.
Yeah, I have them
right
all.
over there. And Sophia's got them.
And you know when your mom tells you something when you're little, I have literally stuck with that rule to this day. I don't spend it.
Collecting pennies. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, everyone.